Welcome to Improve Your English Writing, video number 26, where I'll be covering the subject of spelling. Well, grammar and then under grammar, spelling. And we're going to talk about spelling references with the various style manuals, which are basically just rule books. And then I'm going to cover 4 spelling rules to help you with your spelling. So if you like to get notifications for this series, please click subscribe. If you like the video or think others will find it useful, please click like and check out links to books and videos in the description, like a link to the companion volume, Improve Your English Writing. So let's talk about spelling references. So 3 of the 5 popular style guides, which I'll list here, use the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. Just going to abbreviate that MW Dictionary if you see it again. So most of the references use, once again, the Merriam-Webster Collegiate Dictionary. So that the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, or Collegiate Dictionary, is actually an abridgment of the, I guess we can call this the unabridged, or the 450,000 word Webster's Third New International Dictionary. And it was this Collegiate Dictionary is last published, or the last published edition was the 11th edition, which contained about 225,000 words. It's last published in 2007. Actually, I have a copy here on my bookshelf. Maybe I should have taken a picture of it and put it in the slide. But the good news is, let's say buy the dictionary if you want to. It probably has more information in there about each item. But the Collegiate Dictionary is actually available for free online. So an online 240,000 word edition is available at merriam-webster.com, and it is regularly updated. That's the good news, is that the 2000, this hardcover edition hasn't been updated since 2007. And the style guides that use it are, one, the Chicago Manual of Style, or you can use the unabridged version. So it actually lists both. So you can use the collegiate version or the Webster's Third New International Dictionary. Also the publication manual for the American Psychological Association, or the APA, uses the Merriam-Webster Collegiate Dictionary. And the Gregg Reference Manual also uses it. So those are the 3 of the 5. And then it would be 4 out of 5, but I'm just going to put it on this slide because the MLA, the Modern Language Association Handbook, actually has no preference. It states that in the that just changed in the 2021 edition, and that's the 9th edition. So the 9th edition has no preference. But the previous edition, the 8th edition in 2016, actually followed the Merriam-Webster Collegiate Dictionary. So there you go. So I can only say 3 of 5 follow it. Technically, the previous version of the MLA followed it. So there's one reference left, and that's the Associated Press Style Book. Actually uses Webster's New World College Dictionary. That will be the abbreviation. And the last published edition of Webster's New World College Dictionary, which contained 165,000 words, was published in 2014, and it was updated in 2016, 18, and 20. I assume that means it will be updated in 2022 based upon this pattern. And the Webster's New World College Dictionary, the 2014 edition, is available free online at yourdictionary.com. So there are the 2. So these are basically the only 2 dictionaries used. So if you have a different dictionary, great. Just none of the popular style guides, if I go back, use. So most of them use Merriam-Webster's, and then one uses the Webster's New World Dictionary. So I guess if your teacher uses a different dictionary, use that dictionary, but most use the Merriam-Webster. So let's move on to some spelling rules. Spelling rule number 1. The good news is actually any of this information, these 4 spelling rules, is not contained in the book. I was just thinking about this would have been a very short video, would have ended right there, and I figured, oh, well, let me look up some various spelling rules. And actually, these 4 spelling rules were covered in 2 of the references. So I figured I'd just go over them briefly, or at least the rules they had in common. So I think most native English speakers have heard the spelling rules: I before E, except after C, or when pronounced A, as in neighbor and way. So most of us have heard that. I just added the clarifying A, meaning this is a long A. Anytime you say a long vowel always sounds like the letter. So E, a long E sounds like E. A long A sounds like A. A long O sounds like O. So here's some examples. So I before E, except after C. So here's I before E. There's no C. Believe, friend, thief. Now we have it reversed. So now we have E and I. So with, I before E except after C. So ceiling, receive. There's other examples. And then, or when it's pronounced like A. Eight, vain, A, vain. So it sounds like A, sounds like long A. But of course, like any other English rule, there seems to be exceptions. And there seems to be plenty of exceptions. Some notable, maybe I should have put the word notable exceptions, are either, neither. These are common words. Caffeine, foreign, height, protein. I would say these. Caffeine is probably definitely a common word. These, I would say, are common words. So here's some notable exceptions of common words, and I'm pretty sure I can at least list another 10 exceptions. That's spelling rule number 1. So I call it a rule of thumb. Generally, we should probably say, generally, I before E except after C, or when pronounced A as in neighbor and way. So it's a good rule of thumb. Not always true, as we can see here. So maybe we should go back to that should be your default answer if you don't know. If you don't know how it's spelled, then use this rule because it's probably going to be right. The rule is more correct than you have exceptions. Rule number 2, generally, because there's exceptions, generally drop a silent E that's at the end of a word when adding a suffix beginning with a vowel. So basically, if you have a word that ends in silent E and you're adding a suffix that starts with a vowel, you drop the E. So example, you have surprise, so you don't pronounce the E, then you add ing. Surprising, so you drop the E, would have been right there, but you drop it because you're adding a suffix that ends with a vowel. Notable, note, so you don't say the E, and you add in the suffix, able. Notable, notice the E has been dropped. Desirous, or desire plus us. So desire, the E is not pronounced us. So you drop the E here. See, the E has been dropped. But of course, there's some notable exceptions like agreeing, dying, mileage, seeing. So there are some exceptions. But it's a good general rule to know that when you have a silent E and you're adding a suffix with a vowel, you drop the E. So guess what? You keep the silent E when you're adding a suffix beginning with a consonant. So if you have a silent E, but what you're adding starts with a consonant, then you keep the silent E. So careful, care plus full. So the ending starts, the suffix starts with an F, a consonant. So we keep the silent E. Retire. So you don't say the E, you add, a suffix starting with a consonant. So we keep the silent E. And some notable exceptions: awful, duly, ninth, wisdom. So interesting. So yeah, because awe, awe is A-W-E, duly, ninth, definitely here you would have it in E. Wisdom, wise, This is wise plus dumb. So wise would have an E on the end. So, but these are some good general rules to know. So with the silent E at the end of a word, if you're adding a suffix with a vowel, you drop it. When you're adding a suffix with a consonant, you keep the silent E. That's just the general rule. Good rule of thumb to know. Now, the third general rule of thumb for spelling is when you have a final Y. So most people would think, oh, if you have a final Y, you always change it to I. Well, not exactly. So generally, final Y changes to I when the suffix begins, whoops, that's an error there, when the suffix begins with a consonant. So here you have a word that ends, worry ends with a Y, you're adding a ED, whoops, so worried. Supply plus ES, supplies. But when you have keep the Y, when the suffix begins with a vowel, especially ing, or the word is a proper noun. So this is why something, so when you have payable, so ends with Y, but you're adding something that begins with a vowel. Study, ing. It's probably the most notable example or situation you're going to have is you're going to have a word that ends with a Y and you're going to add an ing. No, just never the change. You're never going to have a double I. So study plus ing, studying, you just keep the Y, add the ending, or no Y to I, and then you have may, proper noun, then you add S, which is this situation here. So that is spelling rule number 3. The last spelling rule is generally a one-syllable word that has with a single letter vowel before a single letter consonant, double the final consonant when adding a suffix beginning with a vowel. That is sort of confusing to read. Let's just go straight to the examples. Like I say, look at the example, then read the rule. Maybe pause the video, read the rule again, just to make it clear. But we'll just read the rule one more time. Basically, when you have a one-syllable word, and then you have a single letter vowel that's just before a single letter consonant at the end, double. So then if you're going to add a suffix, you double the final consonant. So fog. So here you have a single syllable word. You have a single letter vowel before a single letter consonant at the end. You're adding a vowel. So then if you're adding a vowel, then you double the consonant here. So fog plus Y, foggy, you double. Slap. So once again, you have a single syllable word, you have a single letter vowel before a single letter consonant at the end. You're adding a suffix that begins with a vowel, then you double the consonant. Tipped, just another example. So some exceptions are boxy, buses, taxiing, yeses. So there are always exceptions. The good news is that you can probably look in a reference and find, this spelling word about doubling, but it has what's the case when you have, it's multi-syllable, things like that. The good news is that in other cases, you generally do not double this final consonant. So you can read through all the rules. There's probably 4 rules about doubling this final consonant. But if you have this single this single version of this, or maybe this one aspect of the doubling rule, is probably the most common and the most applicable to most words. The other ones, in my opinion, deal with various minor situations that you will encounter. So I believe that's it for this video. Yes, it is. And if you want to get further notifications, please click subscribe. If you like the video, please hit like. Check out links to books and videos in the description. Thank you.